You're listening to the Voice of Russia in London. Nikolai Lugansky is widely acknowledged as one of Russia's most talented pianists. He's won a string of major prizes and gets consistently positive reviews. Nikolai Lugansky was playing in London this week. We invited him into our studio, where Alice Lagnado started by asking Lugansky how he started to play in the first place.
My parents are scientists. Only one line which could be connected a little bit with music on the line of my father. They were Orthodox priests in a village, so they should sing something. But certainly they were much closer to peasants than to professional musicians. But at one point, my father bought a toy, a very small piano, and suddenly he discovered that I have perfect pitch. He tried to play melody "Пусть всегда будет солнце," "Let the sun always shine," or something like this Soviet song, and I told him that he plays some wrong notes. I was, I think, 5.5, so he was surprised. So he was surprised. Actually, for a musician, it doesn't mean so much. But my father was so amazed. He brought me to music school, and actually my happiness was that I was born in Moscow. The parents not, but they met in Moscow, they studied. Mother in university, father in Physics Technic Institute, so they met in Moscow, and at that time, two students could afford to build a flat and to get education, music education in Moscow. That time was, of course, great privilege.
So it was a free education?
Yes. Actually, still now, at least for people who live in Moscow and who got good notes on examination, it's for free. But before, it was free for everybody, from people from other regions. They could live in internat for free, so very socialistic.
So did you want to actually start playing the piano, or was it something that just seemed to happen?
It happened, of course, and when it happened, I was always interested to learn notation, to learn notes after this small toy, which were probably 20 centimeter lengths. Then, when I was 6.5, they bought upright piano. Of course, it was quite expensive for a family of normal scientists, but I was very happy. And the main happiness for me, that was the best gift I could get. The music score. I read music score with much more interest than any books. So I could read it when I play piano, but also if I was in a bed, I took music score.
Which composers did you?
I think first composers which I was immediately in love, they were sonatas of Beethoven, Moonlight, Appassionata, and Pathetique, and some Chopin. So immediately Beethoven and Chopin, I would like to have all score of all sonatas of Beethoven. And I remember the day when I was, I think, 7, when the parents brought me the full edition of Chopin works. Nothing better could be a present for my birthday. But then, of course, every month I discovered new music. So at the beginning I tried to compose. So I composed when I was 7, 8 years old. But the more music I discovered, the less music I composed.
Did you feel your childhood was different from that of other children?
Not really. I never felt like a sacrifice, like pressure, never. We played football with kids. And then since 7 years old, I was in Central Music School. This is a fantastic system which still functions today, when in one building you get all together normal education with languages, mathematics, geography, history, but every day just 1 more hour music. So 2 times a week your specialty, piano, violin, and every day 1 hour more like solfeggio, history of music, everything of course for free. That saved not only money of parents, but also this system saves a lot of time. Normally in Europe and America, after the school, the parents should bring the kid to the private teacher. That system was possible only in Soviet system.
Did you have to compete to go into that school?
Yes, it was examination, but I had quite good abilities. My ears, my memory was okay. But this competitive element, of course, exists. Since first year, you already play not only exams, but you play also in audition to have a chance to play in first a small hall conservatory and then even in big hall.
You're obviously a star student. You started touring in the West at quite a young age, when you were a teenager.
Yeah.
And that was when the Soviet system was still in place. What were your first impressions?
First impressions were, of course, very banal and primitive. I saw full shops full of everything. Of course, first maybe 1 or 2 times. It's shock that you have so many things which, if you have money, you can buy. Of course, it's very impressive.
You're particularly associated with Rachmaninoff. It's very emotional music. Are you an emotional person?
Oh, I never try to judge myself. I think it's better if somebody else will do it. Yes, I'm emotional, but I would say if we think extrovert or introvert, maybe I'm a more introvert person. But I think that the real pianist should be very different. So he should have in himself many very different things, characters, to be introverted and extrovert, emotional and rational and everything. So from early age, because I played always different music and I had to change myself, so I tried to educate myself, first of all musically, because musical characters of Bach, Rachmaninoff, Beethoven, Chopin, Tchaikovsky is completely different. And if you stay always only like you are from childhood and don't change, then usually you can be just very narrow specialist in maybe in 1 or 2 composers, which is just pity. So I tried to change myself to bring always new things in my character.
You've been taught by some wonderful teachers, and I know you're still working with some of them. What have your teachers and the Russian School of Piano Playing brought to you, do you think? Now you can compare with all kinds of different players around the world because of your experience.
Of course, I'm totally product of Russian school because my education completely was in Moscow. So I started at 7 years old professionally in Settle Music School, and I finished conservatory and then postgraduate study in Moscow. This is a Russian school, but it's very difficult to try to describe what it is. Of course, it's very strict professional level, but also the idea that piano is not knocking instrument, but you have to always try to sing on instrument. That melody should sing like a human voice.
When are you next playing in the UK?
Next UK concert in May with Bournemouth Symphony Orchestra, and in London I think I will be only in 1 year.
When are you coming to Bournemouth?
I think the concerts are 9 and 10th of May.
And what are you going to play there?
Rachmaninoff Second Piano Concerto.
Nikolai, do you have friends who are not musicians? And if so, what do they do for a living?
Oh, of course, I have many friends which are not musicians, and even more friends which were musicians and they stopped. Now is quite tough time for musicians, so many of my friends now do other jobs, especially among pianists. So if in Moscow Conservatory 30 very good pianists finish conservatory, and from them maybe one will live from concerts, other will try to live from teaching, and many will start new job. I have some friends among other arts, and I have some friends among chess players.
You're a keen chess player yourself, aren't you?
I like playing chess, but I'm...
Why do you like playing chess?
You know, in Soviet Union that was very, very popular game. I think half of male population played chess. My father taught me this game, and then we played in the school, and finally I even played in some tournaments, mostly among musicians. But it's interesting that Soviet musicians always play chess, and Sergei Prokofiev and David Oistrakh were just very good players. That was famous chess match between them in Moscow, I think in end of 40s or beginning 50s.
That was the pianist Nikolai Lugansky. You're listening to The Voice of Russia. Stay tuned.